2020 will forever be known as the year that wasn't, especially where cinema is concerned, and 2021 will hopefully get to see these exciting releases. Here are the movie releases we're most looking forward to in 2021. This time last year, film fans were eagerly and innocently discussing the forthcoming movie releases that had everyone excited for 2020. From smart sci-fi and 1980s revivals to the usual smattering of superhero escapades, there was certainly plenty to enjoy in the roaring 20s. With reshoots becoming increasingly common practice and studios constantly adapting to the streaming market, most would have anticipated some of those movies being subjected to delays. What no one saw coming was a potentially fatal virus sweeping across the entire globe and slamming the brakes on normal life from March onward. Number 10, No Time to Die, April 2nd. The final installment of Daniel Craig's James Bond story, No Time to Die, was the first major blockbuster to bite the bullet and respond to the pandemic. After initially moving back to November, No Time to Die now sits at April 2021. Alas, with the UK recently entering its third full lockdown and Bond highly unlikely to head to streaming or VOD, more setbacks could be forthcoming. No Time to Die pits 007 against Rami Malek's Safin, who harbors a mysterious connection to Bond's lover, Madeline Swan. Christoph Waltz reprises his role as Blofeld, and Lana Lynch portrays MI6's new 007, Nomi. Rumors suggest that Bond could die for the very first time in No Time to Die, but the world is yet to find out for sure, while Craig's final mission remains on hold. Number 9, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, June 25th. 2018's Venom, starring Tom Hardy as Symbiote, was a curious proposition in that the supervillain effort took an impressive box office haul despite being almost unanimously panned by critics. Nevertheless, a sequel was inevitable, especially with Woody Harrelson set up as Carnage. Although Hardy and Michelle Williams reprised their roles, Andy Serkis replaces Ruben Fleischer in the director's chair, which should guarantee healthier reviews than the original. In addition to the thrilling prospect of Venom facing off against Carnage, the merging of Sony's world with the MCU means any number of characters can appear in Venom Let There Be Carnage. Slipping back from its original October 2020 slot due to studio flooding, we're joking it was COVID, post-production has continued as Serkis & Co. work from home. Number 8, Top Gun Maverick, July 2nd. After movie theaters became danger zones in 2020, the long-awaited Top Gun sequel was moved from June to December before landing in its current July 2021 slot. Once again, revisiting a popular property of the 1980s, Top Gun Maverick brings Tom Cruise back as the titular ace pilot, but without the sunny, volleyball-playing joviality of the original. Maverick is clinging onto his past, refusing promotions and retirement in favor of chasing the need for speed as long as he physically can. Joining Cruise are Ed Harris, Miles Teller as Goose's son, Jennifer Connelly, and Val Kilmer reprising his iconic Iceman role. Always one to push the envelope, Tom Cruise promises Top Gun Maverick's plane sequences will be unlike anything ever seen on the big screen. Number 7, A Quiet Place Part 2, April 23rd. John Krasinski announced himself as director with 2018's A Quiet Place, a unique modern horror that relies on minimal dialogue to create the wonderfully tense atmosphere of an Earth crawling with sound-sensitive monsters. After the plaudits earned by the original, A Quiet Place Part 2 was soon announced and will follow Emily Blunt's Evelyn as she guides her children into the wider post-apocalyptic world. Cillian Murphy joins the cast as a fellow survivor, and A Quiet Place Part 2 trailer promises a bigger experience with higher production values, but without sacrificing the low-key qualities that made the original so great. A Quiet Place Part 2 was one of the first movies to abandon 2020, with Krasinski wanting audiences to experience the film in a theatrical setting, but safely. Number 6, Black Widow, May 7th. Scarlett Johansson is finally getting a standalone Black Widow movie. Black Widow was all ready to go in 2020, but the MCU's next planned release has been at the vanguard of COVID-related delays, constantly slipping backwards as the pandemic rumbles on. The long-awaited solo debut for Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow dives into the MCU's past, occupying a section of timeline between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. Natasha revisits her family in Russia and takes on Taskmaster in a story that will finally provide answers about Black Widow's mysterious past. Joining her will be David Harbour's Red Guardian, Rachel Weisz's Melina, and Florence Pugh's Yelena, mooted as a replacement for Johansson in the MCU's future. Number 5, Mission Impossible 7, November 19th. Of all the blockbuster shoots impacted by COVID-19, Mission Impossible 7 has arguably been the most high profile. Production has been allowed to continue in the UK while following strict guidelines, but a leaked on-set recording revealed Tom Cruise exploding at colleagues over breaches of protocol. Controversies aside, Christopher McQuarrie will once again direct franchise veterans Cruise, Ving Rhames, Rebecca Ferguson, and Simon Pegg, with Eze Morales taking on the antagonist role and Haley Atwell joining as an undisclosed character. Expect the usual smattering of massive stunts, with Cruise jumping motorcycles, hopping taxis, and blowing up bridges all across mainland Europe as Ethan Hunt's story heads toward an already confirmed 8th installment. Number 4, F9, May 28th. Speaking of long-running franchises, the latest chapter in the Fast and the Furious saga will finally see the light of day in 2021 after being delayed from its original May 2020 release slot. Directed by Justin Lin, F9 pits the usual mob of Dom, Vin Diesel, Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, Roman, Tyrese Gibson, and Tej, Ludacris, against Dom's own brother Jacob, played by John Cena. The WWE icon has teamed up with an old enemy, Charlize Theron's Cypher, and will no doubt test Dom's commitment to family more than ever before. With 2 further entries in the main Fast and Furious series still to come, there's plenty of gas in the tank, and F9 already has fans excited thanks to the return of Sung Kang's presumed dead fan favorite, Han. Number 3, Godzilla vs. Kong, May 21st. Godzilla, the king of the monsters, was booked for a head-to-head clash with fellow giant King Kong in 2020, but both combatants kindly agreed to put their differences aside given everything else happening last year. The 4th installment in Legendary's Monsterverse, Godzilla vs. Kong, will expand on the mythology of the Titans and deepen the relationship between these ancient mythical monsters and the humans who now share their planet. Millie Bobby Brown will return as Madison, with Alexander Skarsgård playing a scientist caught in the middle of this cataclysmic scrap. Inevitably, Godzilla and King Kong's fight will be overshadowed by the arrival of another villain, whether that be a human creation such as Mechagodzilla or another of the Titans. Number 2, The Suicide Squad, August 6th. Like 2016's, but better. Despite impressing commercially, it's widely accepted that Suicide Squad was not the film it could have been, with director David Ayer hoping to release his own cut at some point in the future. Until then, James Gunn will lead a new incarnation of the Suicide Squad to their doom in this half-reboot, half-sequel to the DCEU original. Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, and Captain Boomerang return and are accompanied by John Cena, Idris Elba, Peter Capaldi, Pete Davidson, Nathan Fillion, Michael Rooker, David S. Malchian, Alice Braga, Steve Agee, Storm Reed, Danielle Moore, Daniela Melchior, Sean Gunn, Flula Borg, and more. Perhaps best not to get too attached to any of their characters, this R-rated mission promises to be a distinct improvement upon the original and will spin off into a TV series for Cena's Peacemaker. Number 1, The Matrix 4, December 22nd. Now, more than ever, The Matrix holds a relevance that justifies the existence of a 4th movie almost 20 years after the original trilogy concluded. Keanu Reeves' Neo and Carrie-Anne Moss's Trinity will somehow return from the dead and join newcomers such as Neil Patrick Harris, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, and Jessica Henwick, as we all plug back into the Matrix for a new philosophical journey through the gap between realities. There's no word yet on what Lana Wachowski has in store for The Matrix 4, but some of the more popular theories suggest time travel, human villains, and the return of the villainous agents. Now releasing on December 22nd, The Matrix 4 will act as a mind-breaking early Christmas present and will release simultaneously on HBO Max and in theaters. So, are you going to watch them all? If we missed anything, tell us in the comments section below.